So there seems to be a new rumor that Monolith Soft could reveal their next major JRPG or next major game at the Game Awards 2025. And I take rumors like this with a massive grain of salt because of a multitude of reasons. One, there's always crazy rumors flying around when it comes to Nintendo's games or when it comes to Monolith Soft or maybe what they're doing. But also, too, there's always crazy rumors flying around the Game Awards. What game is going to be revealed, what they're going to do, all this type of stuff. So it could just be hopium when it comes to fans bringing about certain different things. But I wanted to cover this one because I do think that with the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo probably wanting to make some type of statement when it comes to the system and its capabilities, Monolith Soft could potentially bring something to the table here. But what we're going to do, we're going to go over the rumor and I'm going to assign some probabilities of the case and go over some information that I know about. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this. But there are more people that have talked about this rumor that you might have heard some of their names before. So the rumor watch is Monolith Soft's secret legacy project set for a TGA reveal. The Game Awards is just around the corner, and of course, rumors, leaks, all sorts of stuff here. But apparently, there's some mysterious project codename Legacy from Monolith Soft, which we do know that they are working on something because they told us that they're working on a new RPG, and they've been recruiting for years now. They've been done with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Future Redeem now for a multitude of years. So I do think that yes, even before those games were finished, they were already kind of setting things up for what they're going to do next on the Nintendo Switch 2. And of course, there's been people that have talked about it, Midori, and all sorts of people that have talked about what's happening with Monolith Soft over the years. Even Midori getting right that Xenoblade Chronicles X was coming, I think, in late 2024, and obviously we got that in early 2025. But what is next? The scoop on the Project Legacy. So back around mid-2024, reports surfaced indicating that Monolith Soft, the powerhouse studio behind the Xenoblade Chronicles series, was deep in development on a new project internally dubbed Legacy. At the time, development was reportedly well underway. Fast forward to late 2025, and the timeline starts to look very interesting. Monolith Soft operates like clockwork, which is definitely true. They are known for efficiency in development cycles, and enough time has passed since Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC that a new reveal feels imminent. Now, why could it potentially happen at the Game Awards? So the Reddit community has been dissecting this possibility with the precision of a detective, and the argument for a TGA reveal is strong for a few different reasons. Global stage. The Game Awards is arguably the biggest marketing event in the industry. If Nintendo and Monolith want to position this new IP or sequel as a massive blockbuster, this is the place to do it. And I don't 100% agree with all of that, but there is some logic behind that. Timing. With the project leaking in mid-2024, an 18-month window brings us perfectly to a first look trailer in late 2025. And the one more thing factor, Jeff Keighley loves a surprise from Nintendo. While they often stick to their own directs, they have used TGA for heavy hitters before, like Bayonetta 3 and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild story trailer. Now here is a bit of the counter argument that people are talking about as well. So of course not everyone is convinced. Seasoned Nintendo watchers know that the big end prefers to keep its biggest cards close to their chest, revealing them during their own Nintendo Direct presentations where they control the entire message, which is something that I've been saying as well. So here's the argument against it. Nintendo prefers their own directs, of course. RPG reveals historically happen in February, September. Directs, Monolith Soft typically follows a 2-year reveal cycle, which many fans have pointed out. Like titles when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 were revealed at the end of a direct. The logic is if that legacy project is a complex RPG, a direct allows for a deeper dive immediately after the trailer, something a rapid fire award show does not permit. So really, if you're looking overall at all of this, and shout outs to, I think it's Tech and Bengali for the write-up as well. So if you're looking at everything here when it comes to the potential of Monolith Soft doing something and Nintendo teaming up, obviously, to do something for the Game Awards, I would say that the chances are low. I would put it at 30% or lower that we see something, just because of the different counter arguments that we got here. They have the Nintendo Directs. Nintendo usually likes to reveal Monolith Soft reveals or Monolith Soft projects at the beginning of the year at a direct. We saw that with Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii U. We saw that with Xenoblade Chronicles on the Nintendo Switch, where a lot of the games were revealed at the beginning of the year. So they've done this multiple times before, so I don't expect Nintendo to show up at the Game Awards with a Monolith Soft announcement. Now, I do think that potentially an announcement for a more Western-focused IP could happen. I'm not sure. Obviously, we just got Metroid Prime 4, so we can't get anything there at that event with Retro Studios, but maybe Next Level Games. I know Luigi's Mansion isn't a Japanese IP, but it's developed by Next Level Games, so could there be something there with the Luigi's Mansion announcement? That doesn't even seem likely either. So I do know that Bayonetta, yes, that was there, but I don't think that the next Bayonetta is going to be announced. Maybe, and I think this is probably the best or most logical announcement, if Nintendo was to announce something, it would be the Duskbloods. I think that the Duskbloods, that could be a reveal for the TGAs where they actually show off more of the game. All we have is that first initial trailer, but maybe we get another trailer and then we get a release window within 2026. All we know that it's coming 2026, but maybe they say, hey, it's going to be spring, or it's going to be summer, or it's going to be fall 2026 with more information coming up. So I do think that the Duskbloods would probably be a reveal that is more likely over a Monolith Soft trailer. And also, if you look at it, the audience that watches the TGAs, they love From Software. From Software has won multiple Game of the Years from the TGAs over the years. Sekiro, that won it back in 2019, in addition to Elden Ring, that also won it in 2022. So From Software is a company that people really revere and they love their games overall. So I think that the Duskbloods would be a better reveal for the TGAs. Now, of course, I would love to see Monolith Soft's new project at the TGAs or at a Nintendo Direct or whatever the case is, but I have to be logical in terms of how Nintendo usually operates. So I'm not on board, or I'm not necessarily fully believing that we're going to see the Monolith Soft announcement. Now, I want to make sure that I make this very clear for the people if it ends up being, okay, they did show it. Look, it's just my opinion on this one. I'm just saying I don't think so. Is it a chance? Of course there's always a chance. Nintendo could really surprise us. Maybe they do want to make a splash and get people super excited. Maybe they have the Duskbloods and they have some type of Monolith Soft reveal. It just doesn't seem likely based off of just how things have went in the Nintendo Switch 1 era. But like the article said here, Bayonetta 3, that was a huge announcement. Nobody was really expecting Bayonetta 3 to be announced in that year when it comes to it. And then they announced also Bayonetta 1 and 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch 1. So that made a huge impact and splash when it comes to the system in that first year. So I do think that it's possible that Nintendo might want to make some type of splash in the launch year of the Nintendo Switch 2, get some momentum after the holidays. You've had a lot of interesting conversations, arguments, discussions, controversy, all sorts of stuff exploding online about the system. And the general public says, hey, look, it looks cool, I'm going to buy it whenever there's a game that I want or whatever, but there's always different layers to this, and the TGAs not only speak to a broad audience, but also speak to some of the most hardcore gamers out there too. So it's definitely possible. Now, what could this new RPG or what could this be? A lot of people ask about what could happen with this. Is it a new Xenoblade game? Is it Xenosaga? Is it a new RPG, just a new IP overall? And honestly, the truth when it comes to this is that it could be any one of them. Now, I'm not set on it being Xenosaga. I think that has the lowest percentage chance, 10% or lower, that it's Xenosaga, just because I would think that they'd probably want to do Xenosaga HD Remaster. They'd have to work with Bandai Namco in order to get that out. So we don't even have that yet. So maybe there's an announcement, but I don't think it's Xenosaga. So I'm going to go ahead and say, not so sure about that one. Possible, but probably not. Is it Xenoblade? Yes, Xenoblade is much more likely that it's some form of Xeno whatever. Xenoblade, Xeno, whatever they want to call the next one. It's some type of evolution or some type of disconnected but still connected type of game, spiritual successor, something like that, where they take maybe some things that happened in the Xenoblade universe and what happened after Future Redeemed and say, okay, this many years have passed, or this many centuries have passed, and the events of Shulk and Rex and Pyra and Mithra are felt in this type of way. But it's a completely different battle style, completely different type of flow to the combat, completely different type of everything. But yes, it's like a spiritual type of thing to like, okay, these are the events that happened overall, but if you're somebody new, it's a clean break to start from here. And if you're interested in the deep lore, of course, you can go back and play the Xenoblade games, or you can connect the dots like a lot of Monolith Soft fans already do. So that to me seems very likely. I would put that at a 50% chance or higher that that's actually what they're going to be doing. And then I would say that there's the option of a brand new, completely different IP that is not associated with Xenoblade at all. And that's also, I would say, 50% chance or likely as well. They stated that in their recruitment pitch, they said that they're working on a very different RPG than what they've worked on before. So Xenosaga, Xenogears, Xenoblade, they worked on all of those. And it's very different from those according to Monolith Soft themselves. So it could be a completely new IP with a completely different focus, with a completely different style. Maybe it's completely turn-based. Maybe it's something that's a fusion RPG, action and turn-based like Metaphor Refantasio, or maybe it's something completely different from that. Maybe it's more of an action adventure RPG type of game. We just have no idea what those mad scientists at Monolith Soft are working on. And of course, once they reveal the project, I think that's going to be very interesting to see what it is. Xenoblade is great. I think that Xenoblade is awesome. And Monolith Soft has also stated that they would love to continue the Xenoblade series, and they don't think it's the end even after Future Redeemed. I just don't know if this game will be that, or if this new game will essentially, once again, be like a spiritual type of thing to where there's connections, but it's essentially a new IP. Kind of like Xenosaga and Xenoblade. Xenoblade's a new IP, but if you've played Xenoblade and you know what I'm talking about, no spoilers here, but they are absolutely a connected thing overall. You can go watch the videos if you want to know more about that. So Xenoblade and Xenosaga, although they're different IPs, they're still connected in that type of way. Xenoblade is a new IP compared to Xenosaga, right? So I do think that that's what they could be doing here. And I think for me personally, that would be preferable. I would love to see them say, hey, this is called Xeno something else, or this is called a completely different name, and then have some type of deep lore connections to the previous games, and it just makes it interesting. But if you want to play the game, you don't have to worry about knowing what happened in all the previous ones, just like Xenoblade. If you want to play Xenoblade 1 through 3, you don't have to know what happens in Xenosaga, although if you do know, especially by the time that you get to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed, it would be incredible, and I would prefer, or I would say I'd suggest that you know, or you watch some lore videos or something. But at the end of the day, you still don't have to necessarily go back and play all those games and know everything with Xenosaga or even Xenogears to understand, play, and enjoy Xenoblade. So I think that that could be a possibility in terms of what they're going to do overall for this. But man, it is super exciting to see what Monolith Soft has up their sleeves. I've been a fan of Monolith Soft for a very long time overall. I think that they make incredible games, and this is going to be a real, I would say, showcase. Because if you look at it before, and I've talked about this in previous videos where I discussed Monolith Soft is the showpiece type of game for the technology that Nintendo uses. Yes, you have Retro Studios, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is incredible. That's another great one, but that game is still the base on the Nintendo Switch 1, which it looks great for Switch 1 as well. We have to give Retro Studios credit, but Monolith Soft is that developer that kind of does something that nobody else at Nintendo can do. They take that technology and they make these expansive worlds, and they do all these different things with such a small amount of resources. Look at the Wii and what they did with that game with Xenoblade Chronicles, when many developers said that the Wii, you can't make big open world, open-ended games on that system. Monolith Soft said, yeah, you can. On the Wii U, when developers said that you can't make big open-ended games on there, they said, oh no, we can. And check this out, we're gonna make it to where you have all these mechs in this massive world, and it also looks and runs decently as well, considering the system of the Wii U and the resources that it has. 1 gigabyte of RAM when it comes to development. And then you look at the Nintendo Switch and what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, pretty much a miracle overall, which no other developers were able to do at that level with as much stuff that's happening on screen with Xenoblade. So I do think that Monolith Soft, they are going to be one of the key showpiece type of games, or developers more like it, to make a title to say, wow, look at that, because now they're working with so much resources compared to what they've done before. They have taken a small amount and they've turned that into gold, and now they have a very large amount, so much more RAM, GPU power, the system flexibility, so much stuff to work with now. I can't wait to see what they have. I think it's going to look incredible. I think it's going to look very similar in terms of the quality to maybe some of the cutscenes that Monolith Soft has with their games. So I think it's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see what they're going to do, and I think that Monolith Soft is going to blow us away when they finally show off what they're working on, because pretty much all of their games have been incredible, and not only that, they've picked up even more and more experience in terms of working with Nintendo over the decades, working on Zelda, working on different projects. So, man, this is going to be exciting. Once again, not sure if it's going to happen at the TGAs. I'm leaning more towards a direct at the beginning of the year, a spring direct like Nintendo usually does, or potentially even a summer or fall direct like we usually see from Nintendo. But I'm guessing it's going to be more of an early 2026 reveal at a Nintendo Direct, but we'll see what happens. Once again, you never know with these type of things. So what do you guys think when it comes to what is happening here with Monolith Soft's new IP, what's happening here with the TGAs, what they could do? What would you like to see Monolith Soft do? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.